Hi, I'm Deanna Springer. On behalf of Nancy Zeman Productions and PBS Wisconsin, thank you for joining us for this special educational presentation. Please add your questions for the presenter in the chat and stay tuned for a Q&A after the lecture. Then, be sure to explore everything else the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show has to offer, including beautiful quilt exhibits and an interactive vendor mall. Thank you and enjoy.
Hello, my name is Linda McGehee, and I'm proud to be here with you today. I'm sorry we couldn't be in person, but this is the next best thing. I'm from a garment background, so I grew up sewing and making all sorts of garments for my dolls as well as myself. But somewhere along in the 80s, I was invited to or asked to go to Quilt Market down in Houston and discovered that the clothes that I wore weren't necessarily the clothes that I saw down at Houston. And what I saw were clothes that looked like they were quilted or pieced, but it was too big. The designs were too big. They weren't in the correct proportion they should have been. And so I got to thinking, and not only thinking about garments, but also the way to do some piecing that I can incorporate into quilts. I remind you that I'm still a garment background. So what I did was play with some techniques that I like to make sort of a sampler. And my first slide is of miniature piecing combined with log cabin, miniature piecing, thread work, pin tucks. And it was fun, but I just wasn't the one that should use the miniature piecing. So I got to thinking about something that I had done back in school. Ms. Bishop taught us how to take a straight fabric and make it into a 45-degree angle, which is a bias. And this is one of the scarves that was made using the straight pieces of fabric. So this got me into thinking that I could do the same thing on quilts or on some of my garments. On the right-hand side, you see spiral patchwork. So it's a 45-degree angle. Some of it looks sort of like chevroning. Some of it looks a little bit more like hills and valleys. But this is the beginning of the spiral patchwork. And it's truly become an adventure. It really is fun. And even though you know, or you think you know how it's going to end up, a lot of times it's always adventure to see what it looks like. So let's get started about how, or the fabrics that we need to do this project. You can start off with jelly rolls. Of course, way back in the 80s when I started doing this, there were no jelly rolls, but a jelly roll is a perfect place to begin. You could also use a bundle, and there are several companies that make bundles, whether they're hand-dyeds or figured fabrics. You need lights, darks, and mediums in colors. You can work with large prints. They could be modern, reproductions, batiks, geometric, stripes. You've got to have 2 fabrics. You could have as many as 30. Actually, the vest that I'm wearing today has 32 in it. If you choose a stripe, purchase at least 2 yards. We're working with the width of the fabric. Fat quarters really aren't going to work as well for this type technique. If you purchase a stripe, the reason for the 2 yards is 1.25 yards can be cut lengthwise, and the balance can be cut on the width of the fabric, which will give you an entirely different look. It really is part of the adventure. You're going to need rulers. And nowadays, there's tons of rulers out there, and I'm sure you have your favorites. My favorites when I'm cutting strips are rulers that are at least 4 inches wide and about 18 inches long. They could be slightly shorter than that, but generally when I'm cutting fabric, I cut on the crosswise grain, the fabric is folded over twice. So I'm working with 4 layers of fabric. I need a smaller ruler there. Sometimes the larger rulers are a little bit cumbersome. But when I've created my tube, and you're going to understand about the tube in a little bit, when I've created my tube and I'm cutting it open, I need a longer ruler. So a 6-inch ruler by 24 is perfect. And I have a new best friend when it comes to rulers. I discovered a 24-inch ruler that folds in half. So it's great for easy storage, and it's also great for travel. And that's the ruler that you see down at the bottom. You're going to cut your strips and line them up. I'm by the cutting table. I have my ruler laid down to line up the strips so that I can move the strips from the cutting table in the sequence that I want them over to the sewing machine. Since we're going to make a chevron type look, we need to make 2 identical sets. And I have to stress accuracy right now. We'll find out in a little bit how accurate you actually are. There's some general guidelines, and they are that you should handle the strips as little as possible to avoid fraying the edges. When you fray the edges, you're not as accurate with your sewing. Lay the strips in the desired sequence, and it's okay to repeat a fabric. So if you like a particular color, like the purple has been repeated, as well as the black has been repeated in this set, you just want to make sure the outer 2 pieces are different colors because they're going to eventually be sewn together. You also, if you're working with narrow and wide strips, want to keep the narrow strips in the body and the wider strips on the outside because it's real easy to stretch on the crosswise grain of the fabric. We're making 2 sets. We may make more if you have a larger project. And as I mentioned before, accuracy is important when you're trying to match the points later on in the chevroning. I like to sew 2 strips together and do it in the clothesline approach. So I sew 2 strips and 2 strips and 2 strips, and I keep them connected like you see over on the right. And this helps me keep them lined up the way that I planned when I first laid them out. I know some people like to draw pictures, or nowadays you could actually take a picture of with your cell phone. But sewing in 2s and then 4s, it makes it easier to keep the set straight. If you sew all of the pieces together before you press, you sometimes come into a pressing problem. So this is my favorite way to press. I press flat to seat the stitches into the fabric, and then open it up and press the seam allowance closed. So we're using the point of the iron to press away from the point of the iron. Next, you need to square the end. And this is where you may find out you weren't quite even when you began. You can see I'm a little bit wider on the left-hand side than I am on the right-hand side, but that's okay. We're going to square it. And I use the marks on my cutting mat as well as the marks on my ruler to make sure I get a true square. So this is for a right angle. You have 2 sets, and you're going to place them a mirror image to each other. So we've got the orange in the center, and we're working our way out to the purple. Then we're going to take the purple pieces and pull them into the center, as you see at this point. And you will place a pin at that corner, a 1/4 inch in and a 1/4 inch up along that cut edge. Now this is a pivoting point. And we're going to take a look at a video so that you can see how I pull the fabric around to form the spiral. Fold the fabric, the outside corner, at a 45-degree angle to come to the center. Place a pin in that corner, and this becomes a pivoting point. Pull the outside edges, so you're pulling the orange around to meet the purple, and place a pin perpendicular to the cut edge. So this will be the area where you will stitch. The stitching will be a straight line, but you're actually stitching in a spiral. You'll find it easier if you sew a few inches, pull the fabric around, sew a few more inches, sink the needle, pull the fabric around. You're not going to have a straight line. This is going to look like a wadded mess. And if yours looks like a wadded mess, it's right. If it looks nice and even, then something's wrong. So as you pull the fabric around, you'll notice that the spiral begins to form. And you continue to sew until you get to a single layer. You will end up with a tube that looks like this. So on one end, you have a point. You can see the long orange point down in the lower right-hand edge. And the fabric is at a 45-degree angle in a tube. The other end is odd. It's probably not going to be even, and that's okay. We're not concerned with that. So you've twisted the top layer of fabric at your pivoting point to align the outside edges and stitch the tube. You're still sewing with a straight line, but the fabric is forming into a tube. Lay the fabric on your pressing mat and press the short side. You can see the long point over to the right, but press a single fold on the short side. Use your longer ruler to trim just a little bit off. It's about 1/16 of an inch off. It is better to have your fabric flat, lay a ruler on top, and trim with a rotary cutter than it is to use scissors. And a longer ruler works best for this because as you shift the ruler, you could very easily pivot the ruler so that you're not sewing or so that you're not cutting a straight line. So we want to keep straight lines as much as possible. When you open the fabric, you end up with two pieces. One of them has an angle that goes up in one direction and the other has an angle that goes up in the other directions. So you can see how you start the chevroning part. This is where you discover how accurate you were with your cutting and with your sewing and with your form in the tube. You can see that the blacks have a tendency, they're matching pretty good in this particular slide. So we're doing okay at this point. We're now going to cut these strips into a little bit wider pieces, maybe 3 or 4 inches wide. I have a tendency to cut maybe 2 strips out of each set, play with them, and then decide how I want to cut the rest. So on the left-hand side, we have the chevroning. So the points are matching. But you know, if you get to this point and you discover that your points are not matching, don't fret, it's okay. You can do something that's on the right. Just shift everything. You don't have to match. That was just an idea when I started doing this. But everything, that's part of the adventure. Things are changing. Take a look at adding black to the fabric on the left, how it gave a different look to our piecing as opposed to the same identical fabrics on the right without that black accent. This is a choice. It's up to you. You're the designer. You can do anything you want. And you can change your mind in the middle of your plan if you want to too. It's okay. We don't have hard, fast rules. This piece was actually started with a fat quarter. That's where I discovered that fat quarters was just enough fabric to get you into trouble. That white is actually a 1/4 inch wide visible. So the cut strip was 3/4 of an inch. And back when I made this piece, I was using 1/8 inch increments. And that's where I decided that it's better to use 1/4 inch increments when you're cutting, because I think one of those pieces ended up 3/4 of an inch showing, and another one ended up with 7/8 of an inch. So as you look down at the bottom where the white line is, you can see that my points actually don't line up, but it's an illusion that they match because there's a black strip going down in between the pieces. So I love illusions. I mentioned two fabrics earlier. So that large swirl that you see in the center was cut in 1.5-inch strips and combined with 1.5-inch strips of black. So on the left, you see sort of a herringbone look, and on the right, you see sort of hills and valleys. You can change your mind throughout your construction because there's so many things that will evolve as you start putting the strips together. It really is a lot of fun. What about using spiral patchwork on a tote? There's piecing in the center with a wider piece of fabric on each side because that gets folded around and nobody's really going to notice the piecing, so why waste your piecing there? You'll also notice that there's a black strip that came down in between some of the piecing just to make it a little bit wider. I don't remember whether I was running short of fabric or just needed a little bit extra dark color in there. I'm not sure, but it did make the piece look just a little bit better to have that black strip in there. The leftover piecings can be used to trim your strap, or it could be used for the binding, which you see up at the top on the left-hand side. It's just a narrow little flap that's there for fun. What about spiral patchwork in the yoke of a blouse? It's only in the back. This particular pattern didn't have a yoke in the front. And this time, the spiral patchwork has been accented with corded piping. It really does make the rest of the piecing pop. Black and white stripes really does give these hand-dyed cherry woods a different look. So down at the bottom is a small piece. It's the same fabric, it's the leftovers without any corded piping in it. And up top, the bag does have the black and white stripe. So corded piping can make your work look so much better and accent, just pull everything together. If you choose to use corded piping, I recommend you use the foot that makes the task easier. And there are 3 sizes of pin tucking feet that I like to use. On the far left is actually a pin tucking foot, and that's good for 16th inch corded piping. The middle foot is good for 1/8 inch, and then the foot on the right is better for your 1/4 inch corded piping. So we have a foot for the different sizes of cord that you work with. And I find it easier to go ahead and waste a little bit of fabric, cut the fabric wider than you need, so you have something to work with when you're making the corded piping, and then use the Piping Wizard tool to trim the excess down to a perfect 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch seam allowance. Taking a look at the other side of that bag we saw a while ago, I didn't have enough fabric to make both sides the same. So who's to say they have to be perfectly the same? This is your creativity. You can do whatever you want. So on one side, we have a pocket that's been outlined with the purple. On the other side, we have the full piecing. No one can see both sides of your bag at the same time. So it's up to you how you want to finish your project. A tunic length vest with spiral patchwork would be a little bit much without breaking it up some kind of way. So on one side, spiral patchwork has been put horizontally just below the shoulder, just above the bust. And on the other side, it's somewhere around the waistline. So if I had done the line at the waistline all the way around, it would accent an area that I really don't need to accent. So the best thing to do is to have them offset. And you'll notice there too is a lot of corded piping to help hold the shape and accent some of your piecing. Sergers have become very popular, and you could actually use your serger to sew your strips. I use the narrow rolled edge on the serger to stitch the strips. So they were stitched with the wrong sides together. The narrow rolled edge is visible, and it actually looks like a very tiny corded piping. And then serged strips were used vertically in the stitch and flip as the vest was completed. Now, another thing about this group of fabric, when I bought the bundle, I needed another fabric. And I didn't realize that until I was in the cutting process. And of course, no stores were open at that point. So I cut the stripe on the crosswise grain as well as the lengthwise grain. And that gave me that extra fabric that I needed to just tie everything together. So remember, stripes can be used on the crosswise and on the lengthwise. Two fabrics on this garment, the floral, the tulip floral, and then black. And it makes a very elegant, well, not necessarily elegant, but more stately look in your piecing and in a garment. And the tulip fabric and the grape fabric was used to create three-dimensional raw edge applique. And it's on one shoulder. When you think about it, when you're standing in line at these events or standing in line at the store or wherever you happen to be, people see you from the back as well as the front. So you might as well give them a little entertainment on one of your shoulders or in the back of your garment. Pillows are a great place to show off spiral patchwork, and they can be small or large. It's your choice. It's a great way to experiment with when you're just beginning to do spiral patchwork and you don't have to worry about fitting anything. It's a piecing idea. It can go on a pillow, it can go on the bed, it can go on the wall, it can go on your body. This particular pillow has been trimmed with entredot beading, and the ribbon is in the beading, and that's what the accent yellow and purple colors are, combined with the piecing. This kitchen or dining quilt was designed by Jan Potter, and it has spiral patchwork down at the bottom. And the upper edge is woven fabric to show the basket. And then there's raw edge applique to complete the look of a small quilt. This particular quilt is actually behind me. And the beginning point was the kaleidoscopes. That's a kaleidoscope of a flower that I grew. And they were printed on fabric, and they're outlined on the outside edge with spiral patchwork. It was designed and stitched by Jerry Thornton. Actually, the kaleidoscopes was a collaboration on my part, and Jerry did all the stitching. A beautiful job. We recently had a vest challenge. One of the winners was Helen Wall, and she used the spiral patchwork in her garment. So the spiral patchwork in a shorter version is perfect to go all the way around. And she accented a flower on one of her shoulders. I adore the straight, rigid lines of spiral patchwork combined with the undisciplined lines of thread work. It really is fun. I've narrowed the techniques that I really enjoy doing to these two techniques with a lot of detail combined with corded piping. Now, you could also put the stitching on top of the piecing. So if you're wondering where the stitching would go if you were doing this piecing, you back up to where we cut the tube open. And when the tube's open is where you will add your stitching. You don't want to do stitching on your strips that are cut narrow because you will stretch the fabric and you're just creating yourself problems. But you can keep the design separate. You can put them together. It's whatever mood you're in the day you get ready to do this. And I'm going to throw in one other little thing. I adore wonderful buttons, but I'm not real fond of making buttonholes. Oh, I know how to do them, but doing a pretty buttonhole and piecing and thread work's not going to work out too well, I don't think. So the buttons are there, but you'll notice there are no buttonholes. And nobody's ever mentioned that to me. I'm the one that brings it up. People just assume when they're buttons, there should be buttonholes, but you don't have to make those if you don't want to. In '96, I was invited to the Fairfield Style Show, and I used spiral patchwork in the garment. This is the jacket with spiral patchwork on the sleeves and the inset on the side, combined with some of the other thread work of pin tucking and couching. The leftovers were sufficient to make a vest and a back. So I got to wear the vest in the back while the garment was on display for a couple of years. but spiral patchwork can be used anywhere. You can use it on a garment, you can use it on a pillow, the bed, the wall, you can use it anywhere. You can use all the leftover tidbits to go into smaller projects. It really is fun to play with spiral patchwork. I love this quote by Franklin D. Roosevelt. It is common sense to take a method and try it. If it fails, admit it frankly and try another. But above all, try something. You never know where you want to go until you've tried something. So try something and then you can go from there. It doesn't matter whether it's a piecing project or thread work or any other types of creativity. You never know where it's going to lead, but you really do need to try something. I hope you'll have fun with spiral patchwork and enjoy the venture. This is a book that I wrote on the subject. It's called Spiraling Schemes and Chromatics. I hope you have fun with spiral patchwork, as much fun as I've had with it. I hope I get to see you in the near future sometime. You can always get up with me at ghees.com. That's GHEES.com, and send questions if you have them. We'll be happy to answer and help you with your projects. I thank you for joining me this afternoon for a little bit of learning on Zoom while we're waiting to get to see each other in public. I hope you enjoy your sewing and continue to enjoy working with Wisconsin-Madison. They've been doing so well with trying to keep us all out in the public light and keeping our creative juices flowing. Have a great time. Thank you so much for joining me.
Hi, I'm Deanna Springer. Thank you for joining us for the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show, and thank you for tuning in for the Adventures of Spiral Patchwork with Linda McGehee. And we're so pleased today to have Linda here from her home studio in Shreveport, Louisiana. Good morning, Linda. How are you?
Hey, Jan, I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
We're grateful you're joining us, and thank you for your support of the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show and for sharing your techniques. And we have questions rolling in about your spiral patchwork, so let's get started.
Okay, I'm ready.
Jan is asking, can you review how you did your first cut after sewing the tube, please?
So I have the tube, just happen to have that piece here by me. I have the tube, and I just kind of shake it so it's smooth. Of course, you're going to be doing this on a table, but lay a ruler so that you can see just the fold, and you will trim that fold off. Now, I'm pointing towards the longer point this time, and if I were putting this on a garment, I would probably cut this fold, but if I'm making a table runner, I would cut this fold because this is the point of your table runner. I'll let you see the right side. That's the point of your table runner if that's what you're choosing to use with your strips.
Okay, great. Thank you, Linda. Michigan viewer is asking the same thing. I wish to see that first cut again, not really sure where you trimmed open. So you have your tube stitched together. So show us where the seam is, Linda.
Well, the last seam that was sewn is right here, because this is the piece that was folded over to make sort of half a house. And you start sewing here. You are sewing a straight line, but it's actually going into a spiral. So you're sewing at a 45-degree angle. You're sewing the outside edges together, but you're starting this piece right down here. And so it automatically turns into a tube. You're going to have sort of a twisted mess as you're sewing, and that's okay. It's if you have a twisted mess, you're right. If it's nice and smooth, something's wrong. But you're actually sewing the outer two edges together. And you know what? I have that curve close by. Maybe you can see it with fewer pieces in. This is the scarf. And there were just two pieces. There's the two-tone piece, and then the solid piece.
Thank you, Linda. That's beautiful. It shows up so well on the camera. Thank you for sharing that. And
Wonderful.
Kathy G is asking, do you fully line all your pieces?
Most of the pieces are done in a stitch and flip method. So I have muslin as the base. And so I'm stitching and flipping to the muslin or the batting. I have a tendency in my area to use muslin as my garments, or if I'm making a table runner, I can stitch and flip to batting. But once the piece is made, if it's a pillow, you're going to have, fabric on the back. But if I take the pillow out, which hopefully nobody does when they come to your house, you can see that this is the stitch and flip on the inside. And I haven't even finished the seams on this. It was like get her done for the project, and this is the first time it's been out in a couple of years.
Well,
So
it's beautiful. Thank you. And the next is a comment from Linda P. She loves all your different applications of the stitched fabrics. Thank you, Linda.
Thank you. It's fun. Just get started and then you go hog wild.
And Linda, we have a Linda tuning in and watching, and she's asking, how do you do the thread work? Is it free motion?
This is free motion on my garment that I'm wearing. On the vest that's behind me, that's actually couching, and that was done free motion. I didn't have time to get into that much in the class, but I'll give you a quick tip. Whoops, I don't have the piece that I opened. But remember when we cut the tube open, we trimmed on the side, cut the tube open, and we had a big flat piece like this. This is when I do the thread work. You don't want to cut your strips, like your 3-inch wide strips, and try to stitch down them with lots of extra thread work, because what's going to happen is you will stretch the pieces. All of these pieces are kind of sort of on the bias, and so that would stretch them. So it's more stabilized when it's a larger piece.
That's a great tip. So you could do free motion.
One, and also on these sleeves, the couching was done while it was in a big full piece.
But you could do free motion or couching or really embellishments of your choosing when it's cut open and flat.
Oh, absolutely. Some people do a decorative stitch. I think the vest that was behind me when we were doing the filming had couching down the center of some of the pieces, or just regular decorative stitching. If you cut a strip and stitch it in and discover that it's a little bit wide, what you can do is insert a decorative stitch of some sort to fill in the area to make it look like it was actually 2 strips.
Also a great tip. Thank you, Linda. And we have a comment from Giselle. Giselle is saying, I have been a fan of Linda's for years. I have her first book on purses with the patterns included.
All right, very good. Thanks, Janelle.
And Judy's comment is,
Send pictures.
send photos. Make Linda's bags and send photos to Linda on her social sites. Sure. Jude is asking, or Jude is sharing a comment or a question. Is a fat quarter enough to get you in trouble? I want to try this on a t-shirt.
You know, it's actually better if you start off with a strip. Like if you have a jelly roll, just grab a couple of strips. Or the easiest way to start off to begin with is to grab a stripe, because it'll give you the illusion of being pieced. And use the width of the fabric. I started off with fat quarters, but I just discovered fat quarters the week I started playing with this. And I discovered that a fat quarter was just enough to get you in trouble. You don't get much length. A fat quarter, I'm not seeing anything. A fat quarter gives you pieces that are about this long. And it's actually easier to do the technique if you're using 45 inches.
Great to know. Thank you, Linda. And our next question is from Nancy. When you quilt your garments, do you ever use batting?
My garments are stitch and flip, and I've used corded piping in between the seams to add detail. And I think you can see that it's smaller corded piping on this garment. This is a garment that I wear. On the bag, it's a little bit larger corded piping. And on my Fairfield garment, it's a little bit larger corded piping on the sleeves and separating the two other areas of thread work. So in stitch and flip, I do not quilt in between because these are narrower strips. However, in making a table runner or on a quilt where you don't have the corded piping separating the pieces, you can, of course, quilt on that. So my table runners have quilting on them, yes.
And do you have battings between the layers, between the lining and the top fabric? Do you have quilt batting?
I have batting on table runners or wall hangings. My garments, I generally don't use batting because I live in the South and that's a little bit too much warmth.
Here in Wisconsin, I could include the batting for winter.
Yeah, and you know, if you're making a winter vest, this is a little add-on tip. Go a half a size larger because the batting takes up space and you're probably wearing a heavier garment underneath. And so you get the feeling that you're gaining weight or whatever, but that extra half a size kind of helps in the fitting a little bit better.
Great tip. Thanks, Linda. And Mary's asking again about the strips. You mentioned fat quarters will not work well. What size strips would allow me to play with fat quarters as a starter?
Well,
maybe she could seam 2 fat
inch
quarters.
Inch and a half pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Don't make a set that's maybe, what is this, about 6 inches? Make a set that's about 6 inches wide, 7 inches. Because if you get too wide, you end up with a square and you can't spiral.
Oh, good tip. We need a rectangle.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
It needs to be a rectangle. And you know, after you've done 1 fat quarter, you'll go, oh, I get it. I really should use the width. But I'm sure you have just a couple of widths at home
Mm-hmm.
that are, you know, the 45. They don't even have to be wonderful. You're just testing. You'd be surprised. They might end up wonderful.
Sure. And just make sure you're using the full crosswise fabric strip, 40, 42, 45 inches wide. That will work great. Okay.
Correct.
Thanks, Linda.
Yes.
And Dee is asking, how were the ribbons sewn into the spiral?
The ribbons were actually included in entree beading. Are you talking? I'm assuming there was a black vest, I believe I showed, and there are ribbons actually in this piecing. Let me see here. You can see the yellow right here.
Yes.
That's entree beading. It's something that we use in heirloom sewing, where they weave the ribbon in and out. Generally, you see it on a little girl's sleeves on this area, and then they tie it in a bow, or it's on some of the layering of the bottom of the dress. And I just inserted it. These were fabrics that were sent from me from a company to make a sample for them for Quilt Market. And I had to add something. I couldn't just use the 4 fabrics that they sent me. So this was my way of adding a little bit extra color.
It really makes it pop. And your use of using black entrejot, purchase trim, you know, that's a trim that you purchase at the fabric store in the trim department, entrejot trim, and then you can weave your ribbon with a large tapestry needle in and out of there.
Yes.
Beautiful.
And on this one, I kept the ribbon flat. And the black garment that was in the slides, I used 2 layers of ribbon, tied it in a knot every so often, which made the ribbon flip. So you may have red down a little bit, and then it turned to yellow, then it back to red, and the little knots gave you extra texture.
Great techniques, Linda. Thank you. Mary is asking on Facebook, is it possible to show the vest that you made with the black and white floral piece? She says black and one floral piece, excuse me. Where can I see it? And Mary's on Facebook.
Okay, you got 2 seconds. I can probably put my hands on it.
And while Linda's away, we have another comment from both Linda and Misty. They're both excited because they grew up in Shreveport. So we'll be happy to tell Linda that. So another comment is from Carol. This is so inspiring, Linda. Carol's saying this is so inspiring.
Thank you, Carol. This is actually a garment that was made for our challenge. And if you're going to be at ASG, or if you come to the Red River Quilt Show in Shreveport at the end of the month, well, actually it's October 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, I'll have the full display there. You can also go on our website at geese.com, and on the home page, you can see the top winners in the challenge. They had to use my vest pattern, but they could do all sorts of other embellishing. This was made by a lady in St. Louis, and she actually used fabric that I designed. This is a cutout of a night bloom in Ceres, and mine actually bloomed last week. She has inserted couching in some of her seams for detail, which is what you were asking about a while ago. She has corded piping included. And she even included some organza with it. It's just a phenomenal vest.
It is, and it's beautiful to see it on the front and the back. You don't have to have a plain back to your vest.
Oh no, you entertain people from the back when you're standing in line. You might as well put something on the back.
A great
It
conversation
doesn't have
starter.
to be a lot, but a little bit is fine.
And Linda, I
beautiful.
shared while you were getting the vest that Linda and Misty both grew up in Shreveport, so they're really excited to be tuning in today.
Ah, so where are they from now? Come back and visit.
They'll have to post another comment to tell us where you're living now, unless you're still in Shreveport. Another question from Sandra: is there a limit to how wide you make your striped fabric before tubing?
Okay, the strips usually 20-ish, no more than 20-ish. Most of the time it's between 15 to 20 inches.
Great, thank you, Linda. And Nancy is asking, when you sew, it looks like the same technique that you use to make continuous binding. Is this the same method?
Continuous binding.
When you sew continuous quilt
Oh,
binding?
yeah, when you're sewing strips together.
Mhm.
Yeah. We call it the clothesline approach in the sewing industry, which is really where I'm from. And yes, that way I can keep the strips in the sequence. I know some people kind of label it on a piece of paper. You can take a picture with your cell phone, but I line them up the way I want them to go, and to keep them in that sequence, I sew 2, keep it attached, sew 2 more, keep it attached, sew 2 more. I press that, and then the first piece is attached to the second, and the third is attached to the fourth. So you're actually sewing in 4s, and then you sew in 8s. Now, if you have an odd number, just don't forget it. But that's the way I do it, rather than having to make all those little tidbits of papers or whatever. That just takes too long. And if I get it mixed up and the stripes don't match, then so be it. Most of the time, you noticed in the slides that I don't have too many samples of the match. I got away from that real quick. I like the mix matched.
That's great. It's so forgiving. You can just seam your strips together and not worry about matching seams.
Yeah, why set yourself up for trouble?
Right. We have another comment from Susan K. Susan K is asking or commenting, thank you for this video. And which size pin tuck foot do you find you use the most?
Well, I have 3 that I use. And there was a slide that had 3 different sizes in it. Those were Bernina feet. I'm a Bernina ambassador, but I'm also a sewer. So I teach sewing on all machines, and every machine has a variety of feet. That smallest foot that was in the picture was actually a pin tuck foot to make pin tucks. Well, it's an optical illusion that looks like pin tucks, but it's done with a double needle. I use that foot for very tiny, which is 16th inch corded piping. There's a foot that's a little bit, has a larger groove, and I use that for 1/8 inch. And then if I'm going for the 1/4 inch, there's a foot that has the larger groove. So each of those feet have a reason to be in my collection. And it depends upon the garment or the project. A bag, I generally have larger corded pipe in. A garment, maybe smaller. It just depends upon the details. So I use those 3 sizes. And while I mentioned Bernina, I am a Bernina ambassador. And I've noticed that Bernina is one of the sponsors. If you are thinking about purchasing a machine from the show, contact me, and you need to do it today or tomorrow. And I have a card that I can give you. Any purchase that's over $1,000, Bernina will send you 100. But you need to contact me today or tomorrow. I can give you the full details, and I will send you the coupon that you need for that purchase.
So we can just go to your website, gies.com, and then email through your website.
You can do it through the website, or you could email bags, BAGS, at GHEES.com. Either way is fine.
That's very nice. Thank you, Linda.
I will be babysitting the computer this weekend, so I will get back with you.
Oh, thanks for being there for us, Linda. And Mary has a question on Facebook. What size cording do you usually use for your vest piping?
For the vest, I have a spool that I use a lot, and it's starting to, I dropped it, so it's starting to look a little bit shabby here. But this is a skimpy 1/8 inch. By the time you put your fabric around it, it ends up being about 1/8 of an inch. And we have some of this cording on our website. I think the spool is 100 feet. And this is one that I use with the Piping Wizard tool in my trimming. This is a trimming tool to make sure your seam allowances are even. It doesn't matter how wonderful you are at cutting, the ruler slips sometimes, and you don't get the narrow strips that you need, the exact size. And it's actually easier to work with a little bit wider strip. So just go ahead and waste a 1/4 inch of fabric. And it's easier to sew your corded piping with a foot, and then use the tool to trim. You can see that there's different grooves for different size corded piping and different seam allowances.
Great tip. Thank you, Linda. And Carol is asking, could you please repeat the name of your book?
My book is Spiraling Schemes in Chromatics. And this is a book I wrote a few years ago. It won an award, and I have not reprinted it, but I have made it into a downloadable book. So you can go on our website now, and I put a bunch of specials in the special section in the drop-down box. And this is one of them. So you get the full book, which is, I think, a 32-page book. And I've added a bunch of photos at the end. So you get some current photos or additional photos.
Well, thank you for making that available on your website this week, Linda. That's wonderful news. And you can connect with Linda at gies.com. And Linda, thank you for joining us today and sharing all your expertise and all your beautiful spiral patchwork ideas.
Thank you so much, Deanna. It's been a pleasure to be a part of this. I appreciate PBS for all the effort they've done to make sewing available to and quilting available to everybody. And I particularly like the exercise class. And I like the fact that I can take all the classes too, which has never happened.
Amazing. Well, that's great, Linda, and thanks for sharing all you do today. And we want to thank everybody for tuning in today and joining Linda for her spiral patchwork techniques. And be sure to head over to quiltshow.com and click on the vendor mall, and you'll find Linda under Geese in the vendor mall. And then be sure to take in all the spectacular quilt exhibits too. Enjoy.
I don't think I'm listed in the vendor mall.
Thanks again for joining us. This year's educational presentations are made possible with your contributions. Your support helps us offer a free and accessible online experience where we can celebrate our shared love of quilting. Please help PBS Wisconsin bring back the event next year stronger than ever by making a gift today. You can donate on our website or text QUILT to 1-800-236-3636 to make a gift from your phone. Your generosity makes a difference. Thank you.